Hello, everyone. Stay tuned after the show for some of our pre-show banter. I think you'll enjoy it. That's right, this week on Reliving the Extreme, we are discussing the episode of ECW from April the 16th, 1996. Nate Maxon, your host, here with you, along with my brother Aaron.
Hello.
And Tennessee Chad Austin.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
And this week, like I said, we're talking about April 16th, 1996, but surprise, surprise for you guys, I didn't prepare them. We actually got a question from one of our listeners this week.
One of our listeners.
One of our listeners.
And does his name start with an A?
As I always say, it's not Mitchell. It's not the Mitchell.
Okay.
As I always say, if you have any questions for us, relivingtheextreme@gmail.com is how you can reach us. This is actually from a gentleman named Dave. And Dave wants to know if there was an ECW, if they were to create, essentially, I'm paraphrasing, but if they were to create an ECW Hall of Fame, who would be the first two inductees into the ECW Hall of Fame?
Who wants to go first on this? Because I already don't like my answer.
I can go if you guys want me to.
Sure.
Please. Why I throw up this beer.
First two would be I'd do Terry Funk and Todd Gordon.
Thank you. I mean, thank God you didn't go my route. Because
there wouldn't be an ECW without those two guys. So that's who I'd say.
Yeah, I would totally say Terry Funk for one, but my other one I was thinking like long term, and I kind of had to go with Dreamer. And
okay,
I could have put Raven in Funk's spot as well, but
I wrote when I saw the question, the first two names. The first two names I wrote down were Terry Funk and Raven. So I think we all had Terry Funk. Obviously.
Pretty much.
Well, there's no ECW without Terry Funk, and there's no ECW without Todd being the initial money guy. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying that he was the best of it, but
that reminds me of, I don't mean to cut you off, Aaron, but it just put me in mind. Normally when I go through like comments on wrestling groups and stuff, I just roll my eyes because it's all these guys having pissing contests and shitting on each other. But I did see one that made me laugh the other day because there was a guy that I forget what group it was in. It was some ECW group on Facebook, but he pretty much made a post to the extent of there would be no ECW if there wasn't Paul Heyman. So then the next guy comments and he goes, there would be no it's not Heyman, there'd be no ECW if there wasn't Todd Gordon. And then the next guy was like, well, there wouldn't be an ECW if there wasn't a Joel Goodhart because of TWA. And then the next guy cracked me up because he was like, so there wouldn't be an ECW without Joel Goodhart's mother and father for birthing him. It was just funny how they went down this there wouldn't be an ECW without, I thought it was funny that was ultimately Joel Goodhart's parents are the reason we have ECW.
What about Gilbert?
Yeah.
Did anybody make a case for him?
You definitely could, because he made it at least something different indie-wise before Paulie even got there, as far as booking goes. He was already
Paulie in.
Yeah, he was already, bringing in, kind of letting shit fly and letting it be something different.
Yeah, I'm not saying like those guys aren't in it, but if I have to pick the first two guys, that's who I'd pick. Would be Todd and Terry. And I think the host of the ECW Hall of Fame every year should be Jay Sully.
Yeah. Goes without saying, dude. Him and Stevie Wonderful.
Don't even give him a script. Like, he has no idea what's going on.
Light comes on. He's got that deer in the headlights look. He's sweating. Yeah. Sweating through his suit.
No idea what's happening.
And then they just send Stevie Wonderful out there and don't tell him either. Like, and they're just standing out there and they're like, go. Okay. That's fair. I mean, yeah, I guess any one of our pretty much answers were fair, but Todd Gordon, I guess you could say, probably would have to be, right up there,
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question, one listener.
Yes, thank you, Dave, for your question.
Next time, Archie, just text me.
Archie has made like 7 emails so far, so you could send questions to us for the.
Yeah, speaking of which, when I was telling you earlier that I was going to do my show, and I couldn't figure out how to log on to my show, I was going to do my joke was to my soon-to-be ex was jobbers that start with the letter A, because it was basically about the guy that she's seeing, and she goes, "Who? Archie Mitchell?" And that was my wife. Who doesn't even know any better.
Archie, you're so famous, so famous.
At least in a separated marriage.
Well, our episode of ECW starts off with Joey Styles. There's actually a lot to cover on this show, actually. Joey Styles intros the show, talks about how we are going to see footage tonight from the Massacre on 34th Street event, and that the next, which show is it? The next big show at the arena? What's it? Which one is it, Aaron?
Is it Hostile City?
Yes, Hostile. I can never say that one. It's always Hostile Shitty Showdown. Hostile City Showdown is coming up this Saturday at the ECW Arena. Then we go to an interview with Shane Douglas from Madison Square Garden. And I'm assuming this Kenny Albert guy is from the Madison Square Garden network. But what I wrote down here was, I never knew Craig DeGeorge worked for ECW.
It's actually Marv Albert's son.
All right, that's fine. I accept that. I accept that premise, but like the guy totally gave me. I was like Craig DeGeorge.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was either. I just assumed it was just somebody who was there, probably from the network.
I
wasn't even sure his name.
It's Marv Albert's son, and he was obviously got into the family business, not the lingerie biting part of it, but he got into like the sportscasting part of it, and he was an MSG guy, and I think it's funny because in the end, as far as I know about him, he might have been like ESPN or whatever, but I know he's actually Mars kid, and he did MSG and a bunch of different sports and stuff. But I think it's funny because Shane's like talking about how he's in the Mecca and he's returned to Madison Square Garden. It's like, you're in the restaurant, dude. Like he's like, I don't see Shawn Michaels or Diesel around here. It's like, yeah, because they're in the arena.
You're in the Hard Rock Cafe inside Madison Square Garden.
They're in the locker room. You're getting chicken fingers. Like, I don't want to like degrade it or whatever, but it's like, if you're gonna talk big, fucking don't do it from a Fuddruckers or whatever's inside the fucking.
He was at Monk's Cafe
lobby.
He's like, if anybody says shenanigans one more time.
I didn't think he was any good at all.
The promo is another one of those. It's a symptom of Shane's style at this time, because, and I know at the end he puts over the ECW arena is the new Mecca. That's the whole point, is that it's not MSG anymore. It's ECW arena, et cetera, et cetera. But Shane spends so much time in his promos talking about the competition.
He always did.
And it never, to me, and I'm not hating on Shane. I actually like Shane as a wrestler, but to me, his whole shtick through all those years, he came off as such a little whiny bitch, I guess, is all I'm saying. Like, I don't know.
He got it out of the system by like 98, but at this point, until like after probably Barely Legal, that's all it is. And it's like, Jesus Christ, man. You're talking about them every week, and these guys don't even think about you. You know what I mean?
They don't even work there.
Yeah. Well, that, and it's like he's talking about Dick Flair and Shawn Michaels and this. And it's like, they're not even talking about you, man. It makes it and I don't want to say it about Shane because I enjoy Shane and I like him, but it's like Bush League almost.
It cheapens it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like to a noticeable level. Like, oh, is there a chance that we might see, Ric Flair? No, there's no chance.
But yeah, like Aaron said, he talks about Shawn Michaels and the Clique and et cetera, et cetera. And then he moves on to ECW business, discusses that it's going to be Douglas versus Raven at the ECW arena at the Hostile City Showdown this Saturday. I'll slow down when I talk about the showdown. So it's going to be them for the ECW championship coming up Saturday at the ECW arena. So like I said, at the end, he kind of brings it to a conclusion, and it's about ECW and the ECW title. But yeah, spent too much time talking about the competition.
Yeah, hopefully that's what he was doing, was just getting people's minds to just think about, oh, is there a possibility? Yeah, no, there wasn't. We got Tully.
And so then we get Joey in the ring with the intro at the massacre on 34th Street. We get footage of the ECW debut of D-Von Dudley, as D-Von and Bubba are facing JT Smith and Little Guido. I was surprised that there was I guess I didn't remember, because again, I haven't watched this first run in a long time. But I was just surprised that D-Von just showed up. We didn't have any vignettes or anything beforehand, any of the promos or anything beforehand kind of introducing his character. I know they do one after this, but it was just surprise. I wasn't expecting to see D-Von yet, I guess.
Dude, he did some damage, yo.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a debut, man. I would not. I even told my mother that. I said, if I was still working there, oof. I'm glad I was gone by then. I still had that chair under in my head, because I know I would have taken it.
And I mean, sorry, I was just gonna say, I'm sure that there was like a promo or whatever on that we didn't see from the actual show of like explaining what the Black Dudley Boy was, but
I don't think so. I think it comes later on.
I'm just saying, like in this sequence, yeah, but I'm saying at the live show, it was probably like D-Von comes out and explains he's the new D-Von, or he's the new Dudley Boy, and
I don't have that tape.
And his character's like his character's like the character that's making the guys be serious. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's also
I'm not sure if I have that tape or not. I'll have to go back and look for that.
And it's not only the debut of D-Von Dudley, but it's the debut of the Full-Blooded Italians gimmick.
Yeah, right.
Yes, because Joey does mention that Damian Stone has been. I think it's funny that Damian Stone is the assumed name, and his real name is Little Guido. Little Guido sounds like the assumed name, and Damian Stone. But anyway, it's all fun. It's wrestling. Goddammit, it is what it is.
They both sound like works.
This is changing over of Damian Stone to Little Guido. A quick question, and I know I could just Wikipedia it, but do either one of you know? Was D-Von also trained by Johnny Rods?
Yes.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. I know.
I almost want to say they were trained like around the same time. That's how they became friends.
Yeah, I remember Bully talking about it afterwards. That D-Von came along, like after Bubba was already like in training. Whether it was weeks or months or whatever, but yeah, I'm sure that Bubba had a step ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much probably got his foot in the door.
That's what I was saying. He was probably like, you should see this bad looking motherfucker, and he's good. Dude. You know what I mean? Like D-Von, I think D-Von is underrated. Like, I know the Dudleys were big and everything like that, but just being just a in-ring worker and looking like a fucking badass. I mean, I don't think he gets talked about enough.
Well, they had great. If you ever listen to like Bubba talk, like Bubba was the guy who would pretty much he would lay it out, like the match. And then D-Von would go in and fill in the gaps and put it together. You know what I mean? The if, what, whys, and whens and that kind of stuff. But Bully would already have the structure of the match, and D-Von would be the all right. Now we're going to do this as like the spots and shit,
Right.
which I always thought was great how they got along like that, and they still do, which is amazing to me that two guys that spend that much time together, you know, that hardly anybody's career when you spend that much time together ends that way. You know,
Right,
it always takes like the Hall of Fame to bring them together or some shit.
Yeah. It's like the Dudley Boys and Demolition. Those are the two, like,
and the Nasties, those guys there, and that's what I was gonna say was like, and I'm not saying that Bubba Ray isn't a good worker or anything like that. Like, I'm not gonna compare him like in ring to like Brian Knobbs, but that's almost like if somebody was gonna like compare it to something, I'd say like D-Von's Jerry Sags and Bubba is Brian Knobbs. You know, he's the outgoing, boisterous, loud personality of it. But when you watch the Nasty Boys matches, when it's fucking work time, Sags was in there. You know, and when it was work time, fucking D-Von was in there.
Yeah, D-Von was like I agree, Aaron. I think he was like criminally like underrated as far as being talked about. Yes.
Well, and let's be honest, and I know they had their most success through ECW and the WWF, but also I agree with you about D-Von, but also, as crazy as it sounds, Bubba didn't even really bloom as a worker until they were later in their run, like with TNA and shit, when he became Bully Ray. And I mean, I think personally he got better 10 years into his career than he was the first 10 years of it. And I'm not saying he was bad. I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
It's because he got like 157 pounds off his fucking body and started being able to fucking move.
But there was a time when TNA, Impact, whatever the fuck it was called, where he was the only interesting thing on the fucking show. You know, I mean, he was the reason I would watch a clip of that company, was Bubba, just to watch him. But
you also hit the nail on the head when you said about 10 years in, because you know, even guys like me and guys like Bubba and all, they always talk about it, that most of the people that get into the business, they usually don't get it until about 10 years in. And you know, like for me, I think it was pretty much around about 8-ish, you know, 8 to 10 years. But I had been around the business for like most of my life anyway.
Right.
But yeah, as far as getting the work down, yeah, about 8 or 10 years.
Like, one of the most interesting things I ever heard a wrestler say, and it made sense after he said it, was X-Pac once on his pod, like he had a podcast for a while. Like, they brought up guys like Chris Masters and shit like that, who he didn't knock him or anything, but he said it's crazy. He's like, because you used to start your career to wind up in the WWF. Now there's people starting their career, like you start in the indies to get to the WWF back in his day. Now there's guys starting in the WWF and then making it to the indies.
That's a tough transition to make.
They did their, like, Chris Masters now is 10 times better than he was when he was in the WWE, you know, that type of thing. It's like, Jesus.
I can tell you firsthand that is a tough transformation to make when you start out in the WWE and then and you wind up on the indies, you know, because it isn't the same, and you're not used to that, you know. Even when it comes down to catering, you know what I mean?
That's what I thought. That's what I thought when I saw Dolph Ziggler show up in Impact. I thought to myself, all right, I'm not even in any way downplaying this guy. He's a fantastic fucking worker, and he's been doing it for 20 years, but he's been doing it for 20 years in the WWE system. What a culture shock for him. It literally, like, can you imagine? You've been in the WWE system for over 20 years, and now you're all of a sudden, here's Impact. It's like, oh, fuck, this is nothing. Like, I just can't imagine the culture shock of that.
Well, that's what he said.
It'd be like going to work for, I was just going to say, it'd be like you're working for Walmart for 20 years, and then all of a sudden you're working for a mom and pop shop.
Well, I mean, I kind of went through that when I left Walmart and then went back, but he said that he reached out or actually the other way around, when, like he said, Matt Carbone or Zack Ryder, whatever his fucking name is.
Matt Carbona?
Carbonara?
Matt Carbona or whatever. Yeah, Matt. he said that's the guy that called him, and he leaned on to a lot because he was like, that guy told me, like, this is the state of the game that you're going into,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just like I said. I think D-Von's criminally underrated and doesn't get talked about enough, and
I agree.
And is actually gonna make the Dudley Boy gimmick 10 times better coming in.
10 times more believable.
Yeah.
Especially moving on to where they're going anyway. Like they're about to skyrocket.
We see footage of Billy Black versus Hack Myers from the massacre on 34th Street. We discussed Billy Black a little bit last week. Then after the Billy Black hack thing and the Dudley Boys and the FBI, we roll into and I know they cut it up a little bit, but I really enjoyed. I just sat back and watched Sabu versus Mikey. I really enjoyed watching that. That was good shit, man.
I wish I could have had that match with Sabu. I really do. I mean, because there's so much that I wanted to do with Sabu, and I knew that I couldn't. I just knew that I wasn't going to have the opportunity to do it. But yeah, Mikey did a great job. At least keeping up with him. I mean,
yeah.
And the one thing I did notice was that table spot. My God.
Jesus. Yeah, I wrote that down. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, that table. I've never seen a table in that many pieces. Like,
well, no, I'm talking about the spot where Sabu would have missed the table anyway.
Okay.
When he had the table like on the rail or whatever, and then he went in the ring and did the triple jump over the top, and Mikey rolled. I'm like, dude, you missed the table anyway. He went completely over top of it. But yeah, when he broke the table, yeah.
It's like a jigsaw puzzle.
And I know he did it a lot, like, throughout his career, but to me, the chair, like, the leaping off the chair onto the top rope into the moonsault is always fucking impressive to me. And it might not be as somebody that's like a worker or whatever, but every time I see it, I'm like, that's fucking impressive, man.
No, it's not that easy. The only thing that makes it relatively easy is the fact that the chair is on the canvas, because the canvas will supply a little bit of stability to the legs, because it'll suck the legs in. If that would have, you can't do that on a floor. There's no chance that chair sliding. You know what I mean? There,
Right.
So that was the only way that could have worked. But that was brutal, man.
But they have like I said, they have a really good match. Watching those two work was actually my favorite part of watching this show this week.
And I don't mean to keep comparing things to, like, comparing it to other things and other promotions or whatever. But to me, this is kind of like, to that ECW crowd, it's kind of like that match that Brett had with Kid on Raw. Where it's like the biggest star in the company is basically anointing this guy and showing you what he can. Because Mikey's always been good, and we've seen what he could do. But this was Mikey versus Sabu. You know what I mean? And this is the most vulnerable Sabu's been shown to be in the entire time that he's been there, and like the endorsement afterwards with the handshake and the point and all that. Like, he never did that with anybody else.
Yeah,
and
I
that's
agree.
what it is to me.
And they also in a way used this match to what's the word I'm looking for? To re-up on, because you don't have Mankind's gone, Mick Foley's gone, Cactus is gone, so the stuff with Cactus and Mikey's over. So I think they also kind of did this subliminally in a way. Mikey hangs toe to toe with Sabu. It's the next phase of saying Mikey's a real man. Mikey, you know what I mean? Like they're re-upping on that.
Like he was a badass
during the match.
Yeah, like the whole time he was with Cactus, it was like he was bad because he was a badass because he was with Cactus. And the whole time he was TV champion, he won on flukes. This time he lost, but he almost kicked fucking Sabu's ass. You know what I mean?
He showed some bravado. Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure that Joey Styles even made the comment about Mikey becoming a man or something like that.
Okay.
Right at the end.
I must have missed it, but I really enjoyed watching it. The next thing is, like Aaron said, Sabu, he shows respect for Mikey at the end of this, which gives Mikey gives him the endorsement. The next thing, I watched this and I know what they were trying to do. I know what they were trying to do, but it just, to me, it was a popcorn fart. It didn't work. We go from Sabu and Mikey, which was fantastic. And again, I like Taz and I like Jericho, but this did not work. This just did not work.
Half the other people involved, nobody knew who the fuck they were.
Who was the job referee guy?
Yeah, it was. I put down the referee is the referee. His name literally in my notes is Sensei Guy.
Yeah,
is the referee.
His name is Tom Delgado.
And then Taz is
supposed to be something. And they're like, oh, and here's Taz's trainer, Mango, or whatever.
Mako.
I fucking called it.
Not Mango.
I wrote down Taz's partner, Mayonnaise. I don't know. I don't know who any of these
Mango.
people are.
It
was Mako.
And then the only other thing I wrote was, this is at least like the first appearance of Chris Chetty. It's like, I know who Chris Chetty is. I don't know. They didn't name him here, but Taz's nephew's out there. But it's like, you got Mango and Tom Delgado, and like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know any of
Phil
these
Alfonso.
people. And Mango looked like shit. Like, he's like a pale, like his skin was as white as his fucking gi. This was dumb.
Yeah, it was dumb.
Stupid.
A shoot fight too.
Yeah, and like I said, that's what I wrote down here. I know what they're trying to do, because they're trying to build because at this time, the UFC is a big topic of conversation, in the States. I know what they're trying to do with Taz's gimmick, but this just did not work. It did not work. And it also
didn't work. It also doesn't work because it's kind of counterproductive. Because, like you said, they're trying to get Taz over as a shoot fighter or whatever. But then it turns out that he had to fucking pay off Tom Delgado to win the shoot fight
against Jericho, who's not a shoot fighter.
Jericho, who's not a shoot fighter.
Yeah.
Like, they should have been like, ding, 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 and he choked Jericho out in like 22 seconds.
Yeah.
We could have skipped all of this.
They could have easily did a spot where they could have hit a high spot right at the beginning where Jericho could have won for one of them stupid lion salts. Taz could have moved in. Jericho could have landed on his feet, and Taz could have went right behind him. It could have been that quick, or it could have been a leapfrog,
Mm-hmm.
Just like, yeah, they just went, whatever you said his name was, Alfredo.
Oh, Tom Delgado?
Whatever.
Yeah, this whole thing fucking reeked.
It sucked. That's sad considering the names that are involved. Because I even wrote that it sounds good. And then
it's like I said, I wrote down here. I can tell what they're trying to do, but they are completely failing in their execution of this.
And then after it was all done, he choked him out. I'm like, okay, that was a boring fucking wet fart, whatever. But then they were like, oh, now he's getting paid off. I'm like, so Taz didn't even actually win.
The best thing about the whole segment, and I don't know if you noticed it or not, but the best thing about the whole segment was when what'd you say his name was? Delgado?
Sure.
The sensei. Yeah. When Fonzie's paying him off, he tries to fuck him over, and the sensei's like, nope. Did you notice that? Like, Fonzie tries to short him a couple $100. I did think that.
Did he do like the smoky thing, like 20, 40, 30, yes, and then flip the money and be like 60, 80?
Yeah. Yeah, and the sensei guy caught him and was like, nope. Like, I was I was like, that was fun. That was probably just those guys just probably did that to entertain themselves.
Well, dude, honestly, I didn't catch it, but that is a great point. That's attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
It's keeping Fonzie in character. You know, he's even trying to cheat his own guy.
And that's why Fonzie's one of the best things about ECW and the story. Like he's never not entertaining. Fonzie's fucking great.
He's on crack most of the time.
So I've wrote down here so far, first candidate for the title for this week's episode, the Shoot Fighting Mango. And after we get this whole thing with the Taz and Jericho.
It's the Taz.
Oh no, the Taz and Jericho match. You didn't let me finish. We get our first Dudley's promo that features D-Von Dudley doing the commandments. The one thing I wrote down here is DW is still here. I didn't even know Dances with Dudley was still around.
He was hurt, remember? Like last week or a couple weeks ago, they said everybody's curious about the condition of Dances with Dudley, and I was like, no, they're not.
Right? I remember that.
But it's like I said, we're going back to D-Von. It's one of the best. It's one of the best fucking catchphrases ever. Thou shalt not fuck with the Dudley boys. It's a great fucking way to end a promo, man.
Sell a shirt too.
But yeah, this is, you know, we hit the first, like I said, the first, they don't really give us too much into the D-Von character yet, but they do show us, like Aaron said, he's bringing a new, more aggressive, less comedic edge. Because even though Big Dick Dudley isn't a quote unquote aggressive character, and it's almost still comedic. You know what I mean? He's still just and
he's all still that. Hurt.
D-Von, he's always hurt. Yeah, he's always hurt. This guy. God. Getting his SSI check. He's fine.
Yeah, everybody knocks Big Dick. He could have been one of the best workers ever, but nobody ever knew because he's always fucking hurt.
Dude. There's no chance he's the best worker ever.
That dude could have been like Braun Strowman, just this big genetic freak that can do anything, and we never knew because his ACL was always fucked up.
I'm sure he was Big Dick Thunder Liger. I'm sure
that's the name of the show.
Big Dick Thunder Liger.
Yeah, that wasn't happening. Not even for one of the Savoldies, that wasn't happening. He wasn't even the best guy. He wasn't even the best guy in ICW.
This show continues on its trend of having something good or something bad, something good, something bad, something good. Because next is something I wrote down is very good. This is a really, really good squash for the eliminators. I was like, Jericho and Taz was stupid. And then D-Von comes in, and then this squash match happens, and I actually enjoyed the match itself as a squash match goes. For the eliminators, it's the eliminators against El Puerto Ricano and Joel Hartgood.
Yep. Another match that if I was still there that I could definitely been inserted in. Good Lord. I could have got my ass beat 3 or 4 times on that show.
Did you know Joel Hartgood very well, Chad?
Yeah. I mean, us jobbers sat together. He was a good dude. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was green. I mean, really, really green. Like we're talking about less than a couple dozen matches, like green at that point, like right out of school. Yeah, but he was a good dude.
Yeah, because I wrote down here like every time, and we've seen him for at least a few. I mean, what, a year now? And the reason I asked was because I was wondering if it's an act or if it really was how he was. But every time he gets into one of these matches in ECW, man, he looks like a deer in the headlights. Like, what the fuck is happening to me? Like, and if that was intended, he did a great fucking job. Like, just looking petrified at every situation he was put in ECW.
I don't know where he was trained or who trained him or anything, but I'm sure it wasn't an ECW style. You know what I mean? I'm sure he didn't see too much ECW before he got there. Like, you're right. It didn't seem like he knew all he knew was he was going to like lose.
Yeah, I mean, he literally tags in or he gets in the ring and he's just like, oh God, things are happening to me. And I don't know. I find him fucking entertaining.
Imagine you're like, he's probably what, 175 pounds?
Mm-hmm. In good shape.
I mean, he was in shape, but like 175-pound guy.
He was a small dude.
Green as grass, and you're looking across the fucking ring and Perry Saturn's coming at you. I'd be like, what the fuck is about to happen? Like if there weren't people here, if there weren't people here, and I'm assuming I'm about to be raped, I don't know what's happening.
Saturn's coming at you. Cronus is fucking cackling in the background.
Yeah, pretty much. He was a good dude, man. But like I said, he didn't know anything about what was going on in ECW. He was not trained for any of that shit. And El Puerto Ricano, like literally, he told me out of his own mouth. He told me in a conversation that I was one of the guys that he looked up to. Like, I mean, what do you mean? I mean, I'm getting killed every single week out here. And he's like, he just mentioned like my bumps and like. I'm like, dude, it wasn't like bumps and selling. I was getting beat up. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you can do it just as good as I can, El Puerto Rico. He was a good dude, too. I had no problem with him.
After the squash match, where obviously the Eliminators go over, Saturn gets on the mic, calls out the Gangstas. The Gangstas come out. A brawl ensues. The locker room empties. They talk about... I don't know why, and you guys tell me if it's stupid or not, but I thought it was stupid that they said, oh, there's even undercover cops out here trying to break up this fight so that they could say that New Jack decked a cop. Like, if they're undercover cops...
How did Joey know?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's what I don't know. It is what it is. You know, they're trying to get the Gangstas gimmick over. I understand, but it just came off silly. Like, it was a little silly.
It was just some guy in a t-shirt.
Yeah, it's Frank.
Just Frank? It was probably that Delgado guy's brother or something.
Frank Delgado?
Sure. Let's just go with it. The Delgados versus the Dudleys is our next feud.
And then I forgot too, because like I was like, oh, El Puerto Rico or the Puerto Rican or whatever. I can never say his name the right way, so I just call him the Puerto Rican. I forgot that guy made it to the WWE.
Yeah.
Who?
El Puerto Rico or whatever is the Puerto Rican. He made it to the WWE. Yeah, he played Abu, and he was fucking Tiger Ali's servant.
Oh, no shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like I forgot about it. And I was like, what the fuck did this guy ever do after ECW? Because he wasn't bad.
Well, you know what his name used to be on the Independents, right? It used to be Ubass.
Yeah, Ubass. I knew that because he was like the reverse Sabu. I think he even does Ubass in ECW. But, like... I forgot, and then I was like, I'm gonna
Babu.
I was like, oh shit, he's Babu.
Babu.
Okay.
He ate Tiger Ali's toe jam. I forgot about that.
Great. I wonder if he saved any money from there.
Well, the essentially the story here, New Jack, of course, they like I said, that Joey puts over the top that he decked a cop, which means that the Gangstas get handcuffed and taken out, which is going to play into the next thing that we see. It's supposed to be a triple threat match, Sandman and Too Cold Scorpio versus the Headhunters versus the Gangstas, but obviously the Gangstas are not there because of being arrested. We have a whole thing here with the Headhunters, Sandman. You barely see Too Cold. He just spends most of this match on the outside of the ring, probably not even wanting to get into this mix.
Honestly, Nate, I didn't even know what to write down.
Yeah, right. I wrote Sandman and Too Cold versus Headhunters. Damian Kane's here. Alexandria's here. Missy Hyatt's here. And then the Gangstas come out. And it's just a big clusterfuck.
I would love, I don't know why I didn't do it or I didn't think of it then, but I really should have started stealing the lineups that were taped on the back of the doors. You know what I mean? because I would just love to look at them because it never said any of this stuff, anything on the rundowns of the shows. So I would just love to have stolen them lineups just to see what originally was somehow booked or supposed to have taken place. Yeah, that was just all over the place.
Missy and Lady Alexandra get in a cat fight. The gangsters return and they attack the headhunters. They were still in their handcuffs, I think, when they first came out, if I remember right.
Yes.
There's a portion of the match where nobody's in the ring and they're all brawling all over the place, and Sandman is just fucking up other Lou Albano. Like he's laying into the guy.
What do you call Lou Albano on with the leather or something?
Leather Lou Albano.
That's classic.
And then the Eliminators get involved again. I mean, I do like the fact that we haven't actually, if you remember right, like other than once, we haven't even gotten like a match between the Eliminators and the Gangsters. Like, because they just keep attacking each other. It's like we can't get these guys into the ring legally because they just keep fucking attacking each other. Like, I like that aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you say that, Aaron, because Joey Styles brings it up all the time. That whether it's the airport, anywhere, you know what I mean? He says it like almost every single time that you cannot put these two guys like in the same building because it's gonna happen, which is great because you never know when it's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's gonna happen.
The after this whole segment, which is half effective, we get Joey Styles back and he shows us the match or the end of the match that is going. What he shows us next actually happens before the match that they show us this quick highlight from. And I'd have actually rather seen the match. It's Ravian. Yes. It's Raven versus
Fabian.
Fabian.
Wasn't that like a 70s pop star? Fabian.
I think I don't know. Fabian, it sounds more like 50s. I don't fucking know. I don't know. But I know it's Raven and Damien, and I like Damien, and I like Raven, so I actually would have liked to see this match.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Again, I don't know. I just wrote down Raven, Meanie, Richards, some girl.
Yeah, we see Raven, or we see Blue Meanie doing Shawn Michaels. We see Stevie, his first time is Big Stevie Cool. I don't think they call him that yet, but he's acting like Diesel.
He called him Big Stevie. He called him Big Stevie Putz.
Some woman comes out and puts whipped cream on Meanie's belly button, and then somehow this all results in Raven smacking Kimono Wanalea. I don't know what the fuck was going on. Like,
I don't know what that chick was, but she was hot though.
I put Raven is out with Kimono, Stevie, and Meanie, and then they proceed to beat up Kimono for no reason.
Yeah. Like I didn't
because he smacks her. Raven smacks her, and then Stevie's like, "Oh, what'd you do that for?" And then he just starts stomping her. I'm like, "What is going on?"
Because originally, I actually have some of my notes scribbled out here because this all went so fast. It was so confusing that originally I thought Raven hit the whipped cream lady. I was like, why did Raven hit the hooker? Oh wait, he hit Kimono. Now really, why did he hit Kimono? I had no idea what the fuck was going on here.
I mean,
I don't know who the girl was. I don't know. I don't know anything. Like you said, it was just all so much going on. Typical ECW.
Yeah. But after that, Joey Styles says that this coming Saturday at the ECW Arena, Kimono has secrets about Raven, and she will tell all at the ECW Arena.
Did she? I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
I think she was gone after this.
Well, actually, when I saw this all go down, I was thinking in my head, is this just like, they're just gonna fuck? Is this a way for them to fuck Douglas? Like, is Kimono just? Is this a story where she's still?
No, it turns into something.
Okay.
Oh, good.
I mean, I won't spoil it. I don't want anybody that hasn't seen it yet, seeing as though it's happened fucking 30 years ago. But
Well, and there's so much. To be honest with you, though, there are things in ECW that, as we watch this show, I'm like, I don't remember any of this. Like,
Yep.
I don't remember.
And I worked there. I don't remember any of it.
This turned into something.
Good. At least something did.
Up next, I wrote down a match where stuff happens. It's the Pitbulls and Tommy Dreamer against the Bruise Brothers and Brian Lee. And this is one of those matches where I don't know how to take notes on something like this. So I just wrote down a bunch of ECW shit happens. Like, it's just hard. It's hard to take notes on these matches where just everybody's doing shit everywhere but in the ring. And it's not that it's not entertaining. It's just hard to keep notes on the shit. Like, you got to take in consideration they also pretty much had one camera besides the hard cam. Mm-hmm. I'll see notes, and I gotta give props to somebody here. I'll go back through the archives of the Pro Wrestling Torch, and sometimes I will see notes on matches and stuff that Wade Keller took. I'm like, that son of a bitch is a note-taking, attention to detail. I got to give him fucking credit, man, because Wade Keller, you read his description of this, and it is detailed. And I'm like, how did that son of a bitch even keep up with any of this? Good on you, Wade, because I could never do that. The way
like these are notes. Like, this is literally my notes. Typical ECW brawl, super bomb on Brian Lee, Raven Stubbs pinfall, double boot concerto on Tommy Dreamer. The winners, DOA.
Right, pretty much. Just anything that involves Dreamer and the Bruise Brothers and all that, it's just going to be what it is. It totally hides the Bruise Brothers for being terrible.
And everybody's wearing all black. You know, sometimes you don't know who's who or what's what. Like, is that a Bruise Brother? Is that a Brian Lee? Is that a Tommy Dreamer with a wig? I don't know what the fuck's going on.
And don't forget, the Bruise Brothers are twins.
Yeah, to add even more confusion.
Yes. Fuck.
But yeah, like Aaron said, essentially, there's an aftermatch brawl after Dreamer gets pinned. Raven comes out. Raven and Tommy, of course, have their shit. Raven gets put on a table, and Dreamer, quote unquote, as Joey says, sacrifices himself to be put through the table.
Wow. That took way too long.
Yes.
Like, way too long.
Yeah.
And having to like pick Tommy up and put like they were like just standing still, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Nothing.
Was Gary Wolf like, I don't know if I can lift you, Tommy?
Yeah, didn't they kind of like half-assed put him on the table? Like, didn't like Dreamer even help him? Like, slide on the table a little bit or something, you know? I hate that, man. I hate that. When the guy helps him do that spot.
Yeah, the end of it was all too drawn out and long. And again, it's the melodramatic. I always say Tommy Dreamer is such community theater, you know, melodramatic.
Put upon Tommy. I guess I'll put myself through the table.
Because he's hardcore.
He sounds like Droopy Dog.
He's got to be hardcore.
Tommy Dreamer.
Tommy Dreamer as Droopy Dog. That is now the new.
I'm Droopy Dreamer.
Oh, woe is me.
He's got to pop Mary Kate and Bella. His two rats. Good night.
But after all this mess, we get the Pulp Fiction, of course, at the end of the show. Vinny Penzienza likes ECW.
Yeah, for anybody who knows who that is. He's got good pizza.
He knocked a chicken out at WrestleMania 15.
Yes, he did. And that's
who was he?
It was the boxer guy that was at WrestleMania 14.
Oh,
Or
he's a legitimate boxer?
Yeah, he's a little tiny boxer.
Oh, okay. I didn't know who he was.
The Tasmanian Devil.
I thought he was an actor.
Guido.
That's funny.
His little Guido just went around knocking people out.
Hold me close, a tiny boxer.
Yeah, dude, I don't watch boxing. I thought he was just an actor. I really did.
From The Sopranos.
Oh. I mean, he's a little tiny guy that can fuck you up.
Apparently. I mean, I wrote a question mark next to his name. Because I'm not even sure I even had the last name even spelled anywhere near how it was.
I think he might even been smaller than Floyd Mayweather. But he could fuck in his day, he could have fucked you up.
Oh, he wasn't fucking me up.
It'd be like 10 hits before he even knew what the fuck happened. He was a badass, but
okay, I'll take your word for it. I'm just not a boxing guy. It's not fake that I know of.
It's all fake. All of it's a work.
Yep.
Floyd isn't, but that's okay.
Whenever big money's involved, there's some sort of a work. But that's another show for another day.
Dude, I heard it straight out of the commissioner's mouth in Maryland, man. When old man Lou must have been in his early 90s, I asked him about other sports, and he said if money's involved, it's fake.
It's a work, yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah. But we get through the Pulp Fiction here, and you guys can throw in anything you caught up on. But you got Shane Douglas on the title match coming up. Raven, of course, sulking. JT Smith sings Sinatra.
Fly me to the moon. Yeah, typical Pulp Fiction.
Damian Kane and Alexandria. Taz and Fonzie. Brian Lee wants to fight Tommy Dreamer. My favorite part of the whole Pulp Fiction this week, Perry Saturn cuts a long, elaborate, passionate promo about wanting to pretty much cut the heads off the gangsters. And he walks away and fucking Cronus goes, bitch. And I fucking loved that. I was rolling. He's like, bitch.
And he just stares there. He just stands there and stares.
Yeah, bitch.
Yeah, Perry's like, we're going to take you down. We're going to slit your throats. We're going to murder you. We're going to beat the black off of you. You're not even going to be able to be recognized by your parents. And then Cronus is like, yeah, bitch.
And he just stands there and stares.
I thought that was fucking great, man. I loved that shit. That was great.
It's the dichotomy of the two teams are so fucking similar. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's this little short built guy like Perry, and he's cutting the great fucking promos, and then you got this bigger guy that's just a fucking goddamn Looney Tune.
Yes,
and it's the same way with the gangsters. Like New Jack's cutting these great New Jack's cutting these great fucking promos, and here's Mustafa just fucking like doing all it. It's like mice and men.
Yes, it is.
Like
Lenny,
it's the little badass guy with his big retarded friend.
Festus.
Gotta tend to the rabbits, George.
Yeah. Tell me about the rabbits, Barry.
Tell me about the crack, Jack. But overall, actually, it's funny because and I know somebody might differ with me on this. This is the first time that we've done one of these shows that I actually gave the show. I didn't give it an A. I didn't give it an A+, but I actually gave this show an A- because other than Jericho and Taz, I thought this show succeeded on every level. And Aaron, I know you've said it before a few times. As we go through, this starting to feel like the ECW we remember. This is the first one that really clicked with me. I was like, this is fucking ECW right here. So that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion.
I know I'm a lot harder on these shows than you guys are. I'm usually around the C mark for most of the shows all the time.
Mm-hmm.
This one I totally just gave a B. Like, I enjoyed it. Nothing really lagged for me.
Yeah. And like I said, even the Taz Jericho thing, even though it everything's not always successful, you have to try. So even that whole thing, even though it didn't go over well, I could at least see what they were trying to do. It wasn't it wasn't a complete failure. So it was a
pretty good show.
To me, and like I said, the only thing to me is the fact that, for one, like that Taz thing, it went longer than what it should have. But even if it would have went that long, it was the payoff part of it that I thought was dumb.
Right.
Like, if they would have done that whole segment, and it would have just been Taz choking out Jericho, and it went that amount of time, I would have been fine with it. I'm like, don't try to get this guy over as a fucking shoot fighter, and he had to fucking pay somebody off to help him win.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I thought was dumb on the whole show. I'd give it a B+.
All right, so we're all in the ballpark then. It's going to take a really good show for me to get into the A ranks. But yeah, I gave it a solid B. That's even better than what I wrote down, because I wrote down B-. But the more we started talking about it, and the more that things popped into my head, I was like, yeah, that was a pretty decent show.
That happens to me a lot of times too when we're doing these shows. Like, I'll write my notes and stuff, and then as I hear Chad's opinion or Aaron's opinion, I'm like, yeah, that was better than I probably thought it was. Or I see that little, like the little thing that, like, if somebody noticed something I didn't notice, like I noticed the whole little shtick with Fonzie and the sensei guy, and it's like, oh yeah, that's funny. But yeah, you do. Sometimes your score changes as you go through the podcast. But
and also, not to like harp on, or not to knock on modern stuff, it's like, look how much they put into like 45 fucking minutes, and then you watch a wrestling show now, and it's like 2.5 hours long, and it's like nothing happens.
Or is this? Yeah, is this ever going to end?
Yeah, but so much shit they put into like 45 minutes. It's fucking amazing.
That's why I'm so glad there's nothing good on TV, because it takes me almost a whole week to watch Raw. If they would come up with a better TV show for me to watch, then I probably wouldn't watch it at all.
Well, that being said, we're going to wrap it up this week. Chad, Aaron, any parting words for our listeners?
Nah, man, look out for me. Follow me on all the socials. You can just find me. I ain't that hard. Especially if you're single and in Knoxville.
Fake.
Join Chad's Facebook group. There's bis and trannies and
dude,
all kinds.
I swear it's the same person.
Bots and like Russians and
it's like a John Waters movie over there.
As a matter of fact, one of them was supposed to message me at 11 o'clock. I told him I had to do it.
Frankenfurters showing up at the door.
I told whoever it was that I had to do a show. I had to stop talking to him, and then I said I'll be done around 10:30, quarter of, and he said, "Well, I'll message you at 11 o'clock."
It's gonna be what's the fucking thing's name from Hairspray? Damn it, I can't remember. You know what I'm talking about, Aaron?
Yeah.
That's what's going to show up, Chad. Just turn your lights off. Pretend you're asleep.
Yeah, I'm not even looking forward to any of this. But at least it gets me through the day. Fuck.
Or just turn your lights off and pretend.
Yeah, because nobody's real anyway. I don't know how I get myself into this nonsense. I swear to God, I don't. And you could tell me that it's the same person that just keeps following me around, just changing a picture, or changing anything about them. And it'd be the same thing. Because I know as soon as I get off of here, I'm going to get a message. Dude wants to come over to my house and fucking get drunk. And then he asked me if I was bi. That's when I said goodbye. Can't be having that. I do stupid stuff when I'm drunk, but I never get that fucking stupid.
Divine. That's what it just came to me. Divine.
Was Divine in Hairspray, or was she in that other one?
No, you're right.
Dog shit.
I think both, but yeah.
I'm looking for the girl that runs in and kisses Meanie, but I get Divine. Fuck.
Divine already ate the whipped cream. There's none of that.
She also ate dog shit.
Great. That's what I got.
Have a good week, everybody. We'll see you next week.
But luckily, my mom said that she wants to go out. She's off tomorrow, and she ain't got to watch the kid, our daughter's kid, my grandniece or whatever, and she wants to go out and clean the garage, which is great because in 1987, when I lived here, when I moved back out, I left a whole entire box, like a big, gigantic box of all my figures and shit in it. And she claims that they're not in there, but she hasn't been in there in years. But I know what the box. I can't remember shit, but I can remember what the box looks like. Like I even had the old 70s, like superhero action figures, the ones that had the rubber bands in them and the arms, all them. Like I would take like Superman with my Scott Casey. He was my regular because he had blue like underwear on when you take off his outfits. He had so he was my regular jobber. he was everybody. And then I had the fake blood that you go buy around Halloween. Oh yeah, it was He-Man was Ivan Putski. I had a whole scene going on. I even when I was a kid, I even took a piece of metal that was in the bottom of a bird cage, and I put like a small little bend in it, and I put it in my WWF ring that they sold back in the day, the LGM one. And I put green felt over it. So when the dude would slam the other guy, it'd make that sound like the old NWA ring.
I remember, I don't know why, but I remember like my buddy and I, when we were kids, when I was a kid, it was the era of the WWF Hasbro figures.
Oh, the little ones.
And we used to have our little wrestling federation with the Hasbro figures. And I don't know why, I distinctly remember, because, you always bring other toys into the mix, to be somebody else. And you said He-Man. I remember, I don't know why, but we made He-Man Bobby Eaton. And I look back on it now and I'm like, Bobby Eaton was not built like that.
No.
Like, why did we have He-Man as Bobby Eaton? I don't
know. That was Bobby eating a lot of steroids.
I mean, it should have been Stan Lane, for Christ's sake, not Bobby Eaton.
I had a big, gigantic, like huge, gigantic Godzilla figure when I was a kid that had a little lever in the back that his tongue would stick out, and then it had like a little fist that had a lever on it that you could shoot the fist. Like it was huge. Like it was like my fucking monster. Like literally. I even took the bird cage that I got the thing from the bottom of it, and I cut the top off, and that was my steel cage. Dude, I had everything, dude. When I was, 1987 or something, I was like 13 maybe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember we did crazy shit too. Like I always say, like, when we were playing with our figures back in the 80s and early 90s, we were attitude before attitude, because we had like, Marty Jannetty's coming in the Royal Rumble and Mr. Fuji runs him down with a truck or whatever. Like, yeah. It was madness.
Yeah, I did a little angle. I did like a little angle with my figures where because I had Undertaker, and I took like one of those soft case VHS boxes, the ones that opened up, like you didn't slide the VHS, like that was Taker's casket. Remember, I had to put Hogan in the casket and then push the casket off of a ledge.
Yeah, my brother was almost 2 years older than me, and he was having friends coming over, and they were getting ready to go out and go drinking and everything, and I'm just sitting in my fucking bedroom, fucking having my own little WrestleMania. Because my bedroom was right on the first floor by the front door where they had to walk out. So when you walk out the front door and to the right, there was a window there, and I never had like no blinds or anything, so they could look in and see me fucking playing with my figures like on a Friday or Saturday night. And they're all getting ready to go out and get all fucked up, chase girls and all. I had everybody.
I didn't have fake blood, but I used their mom's like red dye number 2 food coloring, and that was like the blood.
Oh yeah, dude. When Halloween came around and they sold that fake blood, I'd go in and buy them all. And they would always question, like, why am I buying like 10 things of all this fake blood? And I go back when I had more money to get. It was like 69 cents or whatever. But yeah, I had blood.
Like, why are you buying all this? It's like, why are you buying all this? Be like, WrestleMania 7.
Yeah, in my bedroom.
Big payoff.
Crimson Mask.
I had I somehow came across a little tiny bell, like real small. I just tied a piece of string to it. It was a fucking bull rope. I mean, dude, I had Mean Gene was, I did all my interviews by ringside. So of course somebody like Gordon Soley. So of course somebody could run out and attack him. You know what I mean? Oh yeah. By the way, did you hear? I don't know if you caught. You probably didn't catch it or not. But like last week or 2 weeks ago, they bumped Tony Schiavone on AEW, and even Meltzer said it, that it was the first time that they ever bumped a commentator. Like anybody said, I was like, dude, don't you remember how Roddy Piper turned babyface in 83? or 80, whatever it was, 81 or 82 or whatever. Like when they bumped Gordon.
Vince got hit with a chair.
Yeah, Flair hit Vince with a chair.
And what year was that?
That was 91, because that was when the Piper was doing commentary on Superstars, and Flair went to crack Piper with the chair, and he Piper whatever ducked or whatever, and he accidentally, quote unquote, accidentally cracked Vince. And that's when they started the whole Flair with a chair thing.
Are they trying to say it was the first time in AEW or the first time ever?
All right, he just said it was the first time. I can't remember the exact verbiage, but the way I read it was like the first time a commentator got bumped. I'm like, dude, 1980, like fucking 2, whatever, when Gordon Soley got bumped. Like a turned Piper babyface. Morocco bumped him. Knocked his fucking bottle of fucking bourbon right out of his fucking hand.
What about all the times what about all the times they bumped Jim Ross to try to embarrass him in the Attitude Era?
Yeah, the Flair with the chair thing was like what got Roddy out of the booth and got him back into the ring and everything. So
I guess he must have meant like, it was a different time, but I guess he meant like older times or whatever. But I was just like, dude, commentators begin. Bob Cottle got bumped before, I believe. I think he just fell down. I don't think anybody came out. He must have saw one too many Angela Mosca Jr. matches. He just gave up.
All right, let's see here.
This is April 16th, right?
Yes.